Hi, this is Simon Fletcher. I'm going to take you through a quick tour of the new Orbit Audiences tool that Apteco developed and made available in the Orbit platform. On the screen today you can see the welcome area of Orbit. When you log in you get to this overview where you see collections, campaign overview, and now the new audience area. If I click on View Audiences, it takes me to the screen where I can look at the list of audiences that I've created and start to build new ones. There are filtering mechanisms here on the left hand side allowing me to filter lots and lots of different audiences that I have. On the right hand side you'll see I have a button here to build a new audience, and so if I click that we can get into actually starting to make an audience and start selecting on the data. So my colleague has given me a brief for this holiday company. They want to pick people for a European activity holiday campaign, and here they've given me some criteria to work through. I'm going to take that by copying it and I'm going to bring it into Orbit so I can remember what I'm doing, and I'm going to put it in the brief area here. So it's just text, but it's helping to keep me aligned with what I need to select for this particular campaign. So let's get started. Here you can see we need to pick people that have taken a holiday to Europe and last year. So I'm going to do that first. So if I search for Europe, you'll see that the system goes away and searches through all of the data in the database behind the scenes, and we have continent of Europe here, and I know that's the correct attribute to pick. Here I can see there are over 1 million transactions to Europe, and I click apply and the system runs the count and tells us that 848,000 people have travelled to Europe. Now the next criteria was that this happened last year. So what I'm going to do now is hit this little AND button to add the criteria together, and I need to find the date, and in this case I know that it is the holiday booking date. There, we found that. Now we get a date selection window, and at this point I'm going to just work my way through to the beginning of 2018 and January the 1st, and then I'm going to go to the end of the year here and pick December 2000 and the end of December 2018 and click apply. Now the 848,000 reduces to 183,000 because of those two criteria. Now the next thing here is must have been sourced through the website activity, so I need to add that on. Now these two items are related to the transaction of the holiday, whereas the website source is something that we've attributed to the person. So I'm just going to click on the outer edge here and make an AND. You'll see there's a little linked icon here which suggests it's linked between different tables within the backend database, but the user doesn't need to worry too much about that. But here what I'm going to do is search for source. You'll see we've now found the original source attribute here. Now we can choose which one we want, and I'm going for this one, which is the person source. And we've got website. You can see 496,000 people came through the website. I'm going to click on that and apply, and now we're down to 93,438 people that satisfy this. So this is our audience, but my colleague has also said that we need to remove anybody that bought a flight or accommodation only deal, as they're not the right type of people to use. So we need to go to the exclude area, and if I click in the field here, I'm going to search for product, because it's the product type I need to use. Now I'm going to click on the accommodation only and flight only, because I'm choosing those because this is the exclude area. Now the 505,000 people that have done this have now been excluded from our 93,000, and you can see we end up with an audience of 74,346 at the top there. So now we have our audience. What do we want to do with that? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is just check them and have a look at what they look like. Now here on the screen we get some standard profile views which can be configured on the system. So here this particular customer profile is telling me about the region they live in. So here, for example, out of my 74,000. The biggest region is the southeast outside of the M25, and I've got 12,000 people there, but I can see a broad spread of data there. Their income bands range, and I can see there the most popular is between 10 and 20,000 pounds a year, with 35,000 people in that. And also we have other details about their occupation and their gender and so on. I can then get down to maybe looking at a bit more information in terms of looking at the rows of data, the actual rows and the people that fit within the rows. And you can see we can sample a few different pages of information here to look at the data. We can choose the columns that are being shown here as well. Now, when I'm ready to export the data or to transfer the data, I can then move to the export window and I can choose a name particularly for this. So let's just say that this will be Europe activity holiday 2019. And actually that is going to be output into an Excel file format for me in this case. Now I won't do the export right now. I'll rename the selection so it's consistent. The selection has now been exported to an Excel file, but we will be extending this to allow you to export the data into other systems like email providers or your own other internal systems in due course. But now you've seen how we've done that. If I go back to the audience view here, we can now see that my Europe activity holiday audience is stored there. If I want to, I can click on a button here to share that with a colleague and give them an email message and why I'm sharing that particular audience with them. So it just remains for me to say thank you for watching the video. It's just meant to be a quick introduction into the new audience features within Orbit, and I hope you found that useful and can see how this could be applied in your own databases.